Ndungu, who came with Annie Ndungu, her sister, who at that time she had given birth to her daughter Sophie, who now goes by the name Sophia, but she gave her up for adoption because the white man that she had the baby with was poor, and she didn't want a poor Mzungu baby. And basically the women used to get high and party, and I used to stay with Austin because at that time Austin was dating Susan, and Andrew Muheso, that's the name he goes by now, was dating, I don't know who he was dating, but at that time he was fucking Irene. And they basically, Irene took my mother's room and Susan Wanjiku Ndungu took my room, and they used to switch and take turns, and they used to make me sleep in the living room. Then eventually they wanted to rent out the house, so they kicked me out, and I used to sleep outside with my son and my friend at that time, and I had to get a job so I could have somewhere to stay. And Jonathan Stokes, whatever name he went by then, gave me a job as his eyes on the road when his driver Austin would drive him from Mombasa to upcountry, and basically just to keep an eye on whatever baggage they used to have in the trunk. And when we'd get to the police stop, I'd pretend to be Rosalia, or sometimes give me another name, Mariana. So that's how we used to evade the cops during checkpoints. And if they were caught, obviously he would pin it on the driver and the co-driver. And after that, he decided to make me his nanny, where I'd go and I'd entertain the children that he would be staying with currently. And that is where I met Twiza. And it was Twiza and I in the house. And then he'd kick me out because I used to call Jonathan fat. Basically, I was just rude because he was an asshole. And I'd walk from his house, which is now where the Rehema Foundation is, to my house, or my mother's house, to be exact. And I'd sleep on the balcony or the terrace, there the steps, or I'd chill on the tree. And we'd walk, Junior and I and our son. And then Junior and our son were taken to another location. And that is how I also moved to Likoni. And I was in between Florence's house. And then there was also, Susan was also there as well. She moved there or something, or whatever work she was doing. So one was on the east side and the other one was on the west. And that's how they used to, smuggle their drugs through Tanzania, through that border. And basically Abubakar would come with Joho and the other children so that they could teach us whatever it is they wanted us to learn at that time. And we were a big group of children, and some are still alive and some aren't. And obviously we're not all friends. Then teacher was able to move to Bamburi Kiembeni, doing the same work. That's where we got the first house before we moved to closer to Turkey Base. No, sorry, not Turkey Base, Dan Darkroom. And we got that 2-bedroom house, and we used to stay there, Miha and Jason. Then Austin decided to take Jason to boarding school in Uganda, of which he never made it back because the Indian classmates, even verbally, bragged about how they got him killed in Uganda while I was at Kijani a couple of months back. And I can identify one that was actually speaking very loudly. He's married to Miksha Hirani. So basically I know that is my Jason didn't make it because Jason had a piercing on his ear. And I will clarify the position because the other idiot that killed him and took his face, plastic surgery at Hillside Academy or Hillside, whatever the school is. And they made us see that when we went to visit Jason in Uganda. And Susan Wanjiku Ndung'u decided to take a shot so that she could be buried with her son, and then they made a switch with this other one. I don't know if it's her twin sister, but she goes by the name Wanjiku Njoroge Ndung'u, or the other way, but a DNA test will clarify if they are related or they're cousins or they're twin sisters. So they made the switch, and me and Sally Ria, we took a flight from Uganda to Mombasa, and that is where now they introduced me to the next Susan. And you can even tell with the signatures, she wasn't signing the signatures like the other Susan. And we stayed in Kiembeni. I couldn't speak about it because they brought back the 2 Jasons. There are 2 of them now, and they look alike. But one now goes by the name Jason Njoroge Oduor. But the original Jason's name is Jason with a Jason, Njoroge Ndung'u, and he never got an ID because he was killed as a minor. Basically they killed him because he got into a fight with the Indians at Sri, and they both got expelled. Or Jason was the only one that got expelled, and it was basically retaliation between the Indians versus the tycoons at that time. And when the other Jason came back, he came back with his other lookalike. As you can see with the photos I have. And we stayed there. But during that time, that is when I used to go and stay in Mtwapa. And basically, Asha Wango would invite me there just to try and pimp me. And the process of pimping me, she would make a drink to try and spike the men that were coming to sleep in her house. So the first set of men, I didn't sleep with them because she was showing me how to spike their drinks. And that's how she used to rob them of their money. And that is how I met the Israeli general. And I warned him not to drink the drink. And of course, I had to sleep with him because he was my first job, if I may put it that way. And that's how I conceived Telvin and Maya, my set of twins. And basically he took off to go and save himself, but he came back. But before he came back, he sent me a stupid friend again, same man, Jonathan, and he came there drunk as a skunk. And Asha Wango again made a drink. Luckily, I was able to drop the glass and the idiot didn't drink it, otherwise would have been dead. And I lied to him that I was HIV positive and he used a condom because I was pregnant. And I told him to tell the other man that I saved, who he claimed was his friend at that time, the general, that I was sick. And that if you wanted to know exactly why I was sick, you should come and do a blood test. Of which he came back and he did a blood test and we found out that I was pregnant. And he didn't mind. And I told him the truth, that I was a minor, and I informed him of my true identities. And that is how we had our quadruplets after he had gone to his country to basically tell them the situation of whatever was going on. And he came back again, and we would meet in Mtwapa, same house that Asha Wango is claiming that is her property, of which it's not. And when he was constructing the right address and the apartment was ready, I was staying there, but then we were intruded with, I don't know if it was people who wanted money or